Welcome to Bussing, Mommy, and Lollitasking. I am your host, Dr. Lola Day, a wife, mom of three, physician, entrepreneur, and also a productivity and work-life strategist. I invite you to join me and other amazing women as we chat about our passion, work, businesses, other topics, and how we seem to have it all together, balancing motherhood and work. I hope by the end of this conversation, you realize you can do it too. With some planning, a little bit of balance, and a dash of determination. This is Lollitasking.
February. I am so excited for you joining us today. This is a solo class featuring Dear Moi, and welcome to Lolly Chat. So this first week of the month we have Lolly Chats, and Lolly Chats is where I talk about something important to me, any information I think may be beneficial to you guys. The other episodes throughout the month, you have people I interview, but this is a intimate conversation with me and you guys. So I appreciate you guys being here. So it's usually a short episode, no more than like 30 minutes or so, where I just kind of talk about what's going on with me, the society, or anything important, maybe associated with my program or things I just want to share or help uplift. So, as you guys know, I had talked about every year I have a word of the year. And this is the year where I actually have three words, right? And the three words are for three different parts of my life. The first one I kind of talked to you guys about was kiss. Not kiss as a pack, but kiss as in keep it simple, sis. And every day I've kind of like looked at what I'm doing and say, okay, am I doing the most.com? Okay. Like Lola is known for doing the most.com. So in this situation, am I doing the most.com or am I keeping it simple? And that has actually helped me filter a lot of things I really don't need in life and in business. So that has been working very well. The other word I had was visibility. For most of it that don't know me, a lot of people think I'm an extrovert because when I'm outside talking to people, I'm very personable. I'm very easy to talk to. I love hanging out with my friends when I'm with my friends. But what people don't know is that I actually prefer being at home by myself. I like an amazing, don't get me wrong, I like going out and having fun and traveling and all that stuff, but my idea of fun, to be honest, is literally like chilling on my bed, eating some ice cream, which we're not doing this year because we're trying to be good with our health, but eating some ice cream and watching some TV with my husband, right, or with my family. I'm more of like a connectivity person than an outward person. However, if I do go out, I am, I talk and stuff. So because of my introvertedness, I guess, like a lot of people think they know a lot about me, but people don't really know anything about me. Like I'm not even trying to, I won't even call it secretive or private. Like I just, if the conversation doesn't get there, like I don't know, like I just don't feel the need to share it. So a lot of times people are like, I never knew you did that. Did you have that for me? And I'm like, we just never talked about it. Like the conversation never went there. So this year, I'm trying to be intentional. And in my intentionality, my second word is visibility. Not in me personally, but more in my business. I need to go out more. I need to tell people what lollitasking is about because I want to reach more women. And how do I reach more women if I'm not visible? I love Clubhouse. I love podcasts. I love all those things because it's me kind of controlling my well, not necessarily narrative, but like controlling my space, right? I could literally be like right now, it's 5:15 a.m. in the morning. I'm in my closet recording this, right? I can't do that
like on a regular, right? So I just like to be in my space and do what I want to do when I want to do it. I don't like being constrained by time. Maybe that's what it is, more than me not wanting to go out. Anyway, see, y'all, I'm like coaching myself. I digress. So in my visibility, I was like, I'm going to get on more podcasts, like other people's podcasts and pranks and stuff like that, just to get myself out there. But in doing that, I have to tell my whole story. So, what does that mean? So, story. Um, I was on Clubhouse, and guys, if you're not on Clubhouse yet, you need to get on it. Like, Clubhouse has been amazing. Like, I have found my tribe, I've made some friends. It's been great. So, I got on Clubhouse end of December last year. And about 3 weeks ago, and my word was visibility by the end of the year. And I didn't even know what that meant, right? I just knew I had to be more visible, like in my entirety. So I got on Clubhouse, like I said, end of December. And then about early January, I just got in, and there was a club called How Do You Deal with Your ADHD? So it intrigued me because for most people, I think the only people that knew up until maybe 3 weeks ago I had ADHD was my sisters and maybe my mom. I feel like I've mentioned it to my mom and she was just like, okay, not your portion or something like that. I totally ignored it. But yeah, my sisters, I think, are the only ones, and my husband, obviously, are the only ones that knew I had ADHD. And let's talk about how I was diagnosed. So, uh, all my life, first of all, like I've always been like the spacey kind of person, the dreamy kind of person. When I was younger, I was quote unquote a tomboy because I couldn't sit still. I had to be in things, like, and even when I talk to people today, I'm like, yeah, when I was younger, I was a tomboy, right? Um, like now I'm like thinking back and I was like, oh, it's always been there, right? But anyway, but because I was able to cope, like just internally, I coped with it. It went undiagnosed for 26 years. So when I was in medical school, I was having a conversation with my mentor. I'm a pediatric cardiologist, but I had actually wanted to do a combined residency program called medicine and pediatric med peds before I changed my mind and just did pediatrics. But anyway, so my mentor at that time, my med peds mentor was like, like, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And stuff like that. And I told her what I wanted to do. And she was like, oh, that's great. And this. And then at the end of our conversation, she was just kind of like speaking life into me. And she was like, you're so smart. You're so great. I bet you killed your exams. All right. So that's when it literally was maybe God downloading into me because I am not the kind of person to say that kind of stuff. So I literally was like, um, I don't know what you're talking about, but this girl right here studies her butt off. When people study for like an hour, I study for 10 hours. Okay, so this right here ain't about smartness. It's like legit hard working. I'm not the smartest person. I work too hard to get the grades I get. And she was like, what are you talking about? And she literally was like, I've heard you present. Whenever I ask you questions, you know the answers. So I refuse to believe that you're not smart. Like, what does that even mean that you're not smart? And, I told her like how for medical school, I had wanted to get a certain a certain grade, like getting into medical school, and I studied so hard and I just could not get those grades because I was not that the grades I was getting was bad or the results I was getting was bad, but I wanted to go to another higher level because there were specific schools I wanted to get into Miss Overachiever, aka Harvard.
So I needed those grades and I just couldn't do it because I would make like dumb mistakes. And the reason why I knew I would make dumb mistakes was because on my practice test, I would literally grade it and I'd be like, what the hell were you thinking? Did you not even read the question? And I like get so hard on myself and I just could not understand why I made like dumb mistakes when I was taking my exams or my practice exam. So I started enough where I had enough grades. I think at that time it was like you got like I had like above a 10. It's so different as I don't even say even like whatever about it. But on the English or the reading part of it, which is the hardest, the reading parts were so long. It was so long. And for someone with ADHD, we did not like long passages. Let me tell you, by the time I was done reading it, I forgot the question they were even trying to ask. It was so horrible. So, yeah, so I told her what score I got, and she was like, that's still good. I was like, not if you study for a whole year, you know? So she was like, have you ever considered you having ADHD? And in my mind, I was like, really? Like, why would you think I have ADHD? Like, okay. Like, just because I told you, why would you think I had, like, I was hella defensive in my mind. But outwardly, because I'm a lady, I was like, no, I don't think I have ADHD. I've never really had issues, like I've always had straight A's and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, Lola, 30% of physicians have ADHD. It's not a disability, it's not a disorder. And to be honest, I kind of had learned about it and I knew that, but there was still that stigma attached to it that I just was not trying to claim it. Like, it is not my portion. Get that mess out of me, right? Toxic positivity. So I was like, okay. And she was like, you know what? Do this for me. Just go get tested. Knowledge is power. If it's negative, then at least you know that that's not what you have. But based on what you've told me, girl, I know ADHD when I say, I bet she had ADHD. That's why she knew it. So ADHD recognized ADHD. So anyway, so I went and got tested. So at my school, they had like a neuropsychologist. I did the testing, and it was the longest test of my life. Like legit, I feel like they purposely make it that long just so they could get the real you. Like my brain was so fatigued. Like I was like, oh my gosh. And when he came back, he was like, okay, so nobody ever told you you had ADHD? And I was like, no. She was like, you have one of the worst. She was like, your attention is like zero. Like, how did you survive? And at this time, I think I was on the third year med students. So I'd already gone through like the most rigorous part that's worth for ADHD folks. So I was more in the clinical part, which is amazing because you're like up and about. Like, we like to be up and about. And he asked me, like my history and stuff, and I was telling him, and he was like, oh, okay. So the reason why you went undiagnosed for 25 years was because you had developed strategies to like help you, you know, and it kind of like basically educated me on it and helped me demystify the myth. And he talked about how you having it is not, you already have the tools and you've been using it, so don't change it. But as you get older, life may be difficult for you, and you knowing that you have it right now is actually going to help you in realizing what to do and what not to do, and continue to have those boundaries that you've had all your life, right? So, and thinking, I was like, oh wow, that's crazy, So me being diagnosed helped me with self-awareness. Like I was able to like realize that, and then I started reading more about it. I was like, oh, I do that. Oh my gosh, I did that. He wasn't lying, in me having that self-awareness and knowing that I had effective coping strategies all my life helped me to change the narrative of ADHD. Like most people don't realize that ADHD is not the word attention deficit hyperactive disorder is a misnomer because it's not a disorder. It's more like a neurotypical way your brain is wired. More like your brain is just wired differently. ADHD is not something you can cure. You could use medicine to kind of like reduce some of those negative symptoms of ADHD, but there's actually a lot of positive symptoms of ADHD that I have used to my advantage. Okay. So one of the reasons why I was able to go undiagnosed all these years, all through undergrad and medical school and everything, is because I personally had some innate trait, and I'm not saying people who have ADHD don't have this trait. I think culture I grew up also kind of, I don't even want to say help because it's not necessarily a good thing. Um, yeah, I guess helped. Also helped me with the strategist, right? So in my culture, like there's a lot of competitiveness in achievements, right? So we all wanted to do very well. So I didn't care if people were studying for 10 hours. I'm going to study for 100 hours. That way I will beat you. Like I just have that. My personality trait, I guess, helped me a lot. I'm a very, very competitive person. And not with people, like that's the difference, right? I'm actually not competitive to other people. I'm almost more competitive to myself, right? So like I like to see where I can get to. Like I like to see how far I can go. Like I like to push myself. So that competitiveness in myself helped me a lot with ADHD because then I'm like, oh, you're not gonna get an A on this? Oh no, you're playing, Lola. We got to get this A. Like we're the head and not the tail. So like I always had that in me, and I think because of that, I worked really, really hard, harder than most people that don't have ADHD to get the grades I got. Oh yeah, to get the grades I got. So, uh, another thing was that I was also, in me now knowing, right? In me now knowing I had ADHD, I was able to be self aware of little things like, oh, that forgetfulness you get is part of your ADHD. So, why don't we put in some strategies to help you prevent forgetfulness? Oh, that lack of focus you have is part of your ADHD. So, when you start being not focused, why don't you call yourself back and be like, you're doing it again, girl. Get back, get back, get back. Stop daydreaming. Focus on what matters right now, right? So those are some strategies I have implemented in my life. A lot of the strategies I use even up to today, I've been using ever since I was younger. I've always been a planner. I've always had notebooks ever since I remember. Even when I was younger, I remember I think it was in high school, I had like maybe 15 notebooks, and I'm so mad at myself. I threw them all away. Like, don't even ask me. That's another story for another day. But I've always like had notebooks. So that's that. So if you're wondering, like, what is this ADHD? Like I said, I think ADHD is actually a misnomer. Some people call it, what is it called? I think it's like variable focus trait or something like that. I have to look it up and I'll put it in the I want to say chat. It's not the chat. In the show notes, in the show notes below. Um, variable focus trait, I think is what it is. I'm gonna look it up and tell you soon. And I think that actually connotates it better than attention deficit disorder. So first of all, there are three types of ADHD. You have your hyperactive type, you have your inattentive type, and you have the combination of both. Most women have the inattentive type. I actually had the combo. Like when I was younger, I was more hyperactive. However, not as much as most people would think. Like I was more of a tomboy, in situation. Like the Nigerian culture was very more like children shouldn't be heard. So like I think that really helped me like kind of like
hold myself back a little bit more than I would have, and that's why it went undiagnosed. So with the inattentive type, a lot of times you have difficulty focusing, paying attention to detail, staying organized. I'm actually a very organized person, but it's out of necessity, and that has given me structure. So I've always been organized. Forgetting things, like I forget like little things that really don't matter, to be honest. And the things that matter, I have learned to put like strategies in place for me not to forget it. Like if you're the kind of person like, wait, I just put my phone down. Where did I put my phone down? Like stuff like that. Um, Perfectionist traits. Oh my gosh, a lot of us are perfectionists, but in the things that don't matter, right? Like perfection for perfection's sake. And for those of you that like that, done is better than perfect. Like that's been my mantra, and it has helped me. It's my perfectionism. So a lot of times too, because most attentive ADHD go undiagnosed, and a lot of them are women. They just say, oh, she's just a daydreamer, which was a character they told me. Oh, she's just spacey, which was a character they told me. Oh, you're easily forgetting stuff, which was another character that told me. Oh, she's just a little chatty. I was chatty in the right situation. I wasn't always chatty, but in the right situation, I was quite chatty and always wanted to give my opinion and my response and always wanted to be heard, and, like that impulsivity, like growing up, it's something I had and I still have till today, to be honest, except now I self regulate myself. So, the bad thing about ADHD is that when women go undiagnosed, they feel inadequate, they have low self esteem, they have chronic stress, and unfortunately, a lot of people with ADHD, where ADHD has literally wreaked havoc on their life, the negative part of it, actually also end up going into substance abuse. So there's a high incidence of people who have ADHD that have turned to substance abuse to help them out because it just can't stay focused. Like for me, the way I explain it to my clients is like, ADHD is a trait where you have, or attention trait, I should say, where you have a focus issue, right? But you also have a hyper focus issue. A lot of us are very creative. Like I said, about 30% of physicians have ADHD. If you have ADHD, you're 400 times likely to start a business because we're initiators, we're visionaries, we're creators. A lot of people had ADHD. I heard Einstein had ADHD because we're also good strategists, right? And so I'm a work life strategist. We can think about 10,000 different scenarios at the same time in our head and come up with the best one for you. So those are the positive of it. So I see that as a superpower, right? So if you can just channel in your superpower, it's great. But what makes ADHD horrible is the negative aspect of it. I call it our kryptonite, right? So if you have the strategies in place to kind of get your kryptonite at bay, you can channel your superpowers to get to where you need to get. So in my program that I do, I actually help women. And here's the thing, a lot of women I help don't realize that a lot of the strategies I use to help mom with are the strategies I use for my ADHD, right? And that's a part of visibility I want to talk about. Like people don't realize I have ADHD, but in me going to that clubhouse room 3 weeks ago and people were talking, I gave so much value. And I realized that my people like me that have my trait, are suffering. And I really need to connect with them and use my story as a motivator for somebody who just feels like they can't do it, and tell them, listen, I'm not trying to brag, but I just want to tell you what you're capable of, right? I am a double boarded
pediatric cardiologist who also have an advanced training in fetal cardiology, who also has an advanced training in echocardiography, right? So, like me saying I achieved it is me telling them you can do it too. You just have to have the right strategies to tap into your superpowers so you can keep that kryptonite at bay, right? Because the kryptonite is what kills us. The kryptonite is what makes us feel inadequate. The kryptonite is what makes us feel like failures, right? And a lot of women actually don't get diagnosed till they become mothers, right? And that's why I work with moms as well. They don't they don't get diagnosed till they become mothers because a lot of times we have strategies. We're just women are just sorry guys, we're just in tune with ourselves, and when we see something's wrong, we're like nurturers and fixers. So we put strategies in place. But what happens when you become a mom? Life changes. Now you have to do multiple things. Now you have to worry about not just yourself, you have to worry about your husband, your children. You have mental load, you know, you have mental overload, and that affects us the most. That's why strategies are used for people who have ADHD that helps them get out of their feeling of inadequacy and overwhelm and not being able to accomplish things. Those strategies are like 10. Okay, for ADHD people, it may 10 times us, but for people who don't have ADHD, it can almost 50 times your productivity, right? Because for someone who has a focus issue, it helps. So now for someone who does not have that attention deficit trait, if they use it, they get even more benefit over it than people like us who have ADHD. So that's why, yes, I'm calling my tribe. I want you guys to come because I really want to help you guys, especially moms with ADHD. If you're a woman with ADHD, I got you as well. I'm also not leaving my sisters behind. Like if you don't have ADHD, still come along because these strategies will help you. It literally will help you. It saved my life. I always say structure saves me. With structure comes freedom. With structure, I'm able to achieve and accomplish what I need to achieve. How am I able to still have a business, still be a physician, still be a mom of three, and able to survive in life is because I've put I can't talk y'all. I've put the structure in place, okay? And for those of you that are listening to me on Lolly Chats, we don't edit it. We just go straight into the mic and you get what you get, okay? Because another reason why I do that is my trait of perfectionism, so done is better than perfect. Because this idea of the idea of this podcast being perfect would prevent you from actually hearing the value I'm bringing to the table. So this is why I do not edit my Lolly Chats, okay? So that's that. What else can I talk about? ADHD. I already talked about, the problem is focusing. Okay, so like the problem, okay, another thing people think is like people with ADHD. Let me talk about some myths now. So another thing people think is like people with ADHD have issues with focus. Yes and no, okay? We have issue with the regulation of our focus. I don't know if that makes sense. We have issue with staying focused on things we don't like, right? Like things that are mundane, things we do all the time. We have issues with staying focused in that aspect. We also have issues with staying hyper focused in things we like, okay? So this is like a situation, for example, if I'm working on my business, okay, so everybody knows my CEO hour is about an hour before work. When I'm in the zone in my CEO hour and that hour is out, oh God, I have to remind myself, Lola, you have to get up. I'm like, no, I'm doing so well. Like you do not want to break your concentration, right? When you're hyper focusing. But that's actually a bad thing as well. Because when you hyper focus on things, you're not able to move on to other things you need to be doing, right? So on days of hyper focus, instead of being done at 5:30 so I could get myself ready for work, now I'm done at 6 o'clock. Now I'm rushing. Now I'm trying to like get the kids ready. Now everything is in a disarray, right? But I could also channel it on days that I don't have anything I'm doing. I could focus for like 10 hours straight working on things I need to do if I really need to do it without interruption. And my brain just goes. And that helps a lot in particular situation. So that's what I'm saying. It's more of a regulation of our focus, of both inability to focus and being hyper focused. Okay. What else? Myths about ADHD. People say, oh, if you take medicine, it cures ADHD. Medicine actually doesn't cure ADHD. Like I said, it's the way our brain is wired. It's not necessarily a disorder, right? What medicine does, it kind of like helps with the regulation of the dopamine and serotonin. And I could talk about the science behind it at another day, but it kind of helps with that. But the reason why I don't like taking medicine, and I've not been on medicine for over 20 years, is that I've also noticed that while medicine helps me with that initiation of work and focus and concentration and all that stuff, it also reduces my superpowers. That idea of hyper focus, that strategizing, like the parts of ADHD I love about myself, it also reduces it. So yeah, I'm not feeling and let me tell you something, and I'm not anti-medicine. There's some people who need it. ADHD is a spectrum. Some people have the mild type, some people have the severe type. I have the severe type, but like I said, there has been things in my life and traits that has helped me cope with it. It doesn't mean I don't deal with it every day. It's a constant struggle. But in me being self-aware and having that intuition, I am able to put strategies and roadblocks in place for my kryptonite to prevent my kryptonite from overtaking my life. So that has helped me a lot. What did I say? Oh, I would say medicine doesn't cure. It just kind of like helps you stay focused. And that's why sometimes people now get used to it and they need to increase the dose of medicine. But yeah, there's some people that take it for life and it helps. For me, I choose not to take it. I'm not against medicine. Like I said, some people do need it to kind of like get started. I tell people sometimes, why don't you start on your medicine, and then when we put the strategies in place, you could try to see if you can win yourself off it. Um, so that's that. Another thing is a lot of people think ADHDs are bums or lazy. Like I don't think that's a fair way of thinking about it. And I think a lot of people who think that really don't understand the struggles people with who have ADHD and have not gotten the help that they needed, or have not gotten someone to help them strategize their life, or coach or medicine go through. It's almost like they said there's like what 15% of the population have ADHD. People with the neurotypical brain type, I shouldn't even call it ADHD, the neurotypical brain type usually are living in a world that is not made for us. Okay, people with ADHD would do well in a creative environment. People with ADHD would do well in a job where they're not sitting at a desk, right? People with ADHD, even in schools, they will do better with Montessori type schools. So it's more helping you channel. It's more like helping them channel what will work for them. So if they've never gone through that self actualization and someone helping them channel it, it's hard for them to really survive in a world that is not made for them, really. Okay, so please give people with ADHD grace and help them. If you know anyone with ADHD and they want to talk to me, please send me a DM. My Instagram is going to be down in the show notes. So I think
we're going to stop there. Yeah, I think we're going to stop there. A lot of the times, women with ADHD, like I said, we go undiagnosed. I'm gonna put some common signs of women who, some things like a link of people with ADHD, or if you think you have ADHD, if I've said anything that resonated with you and you're like, whoa, do I have ADHD? I'm going to put a link in the show notes where you can take an assessment to see if you have the propensity. I can't talk. Yeah, I cannot talk this morning. The propensity to have attention deficit disorder. This is specifically for women, mom or no mom. High achieving women too, because a lot of us go undiagnosed. Once you take the quiz, it may help you channel if you need to talk to a neuropsychologist or your primary physician to give you a referral if that works out for you. Okay, so I'll put that link in the chat. I mean, why do I keep saying chat? We're not chatting. In the show notes. I'll put that link in the show notes. Okay, so I think this is the end. I hope you guys have a fantastic February. I want to know how your goals are. What goals do you have for this month? I want to know, like, what are we doing this month? Send me a DM, send me a message. And if you have ADHD, or even if you don't have ADHD and you're a woman who is easily distracted or just need time focusing, I have a program, and my next cycle is coming up in about 3 weeks. So it's called Accomplish with Ease. So you're trying to like accomplish something, you have a goal you're trying to get to, but you just don't know how to get to that goal, right? You just don't know how to go about it. In this program, I help moms learn how to focus. Well, moms and women, I should say, high achieving women. I help moms and high achieving women learn how to focus on what matters, right? That way, they don't have procrastination. They don't have like any issues with, just basically giving them tips and tricks to the way they deal with life, right? And in the program, we go through all aspects of your life. We go through yourself first. We go through your family. We go through work or school. And we go through the community. So I talk about the 4 facets of your life, starting with yourself. We go through all that and we strategize, okay, what are some things we could put in place to help us focus on what matters so we can accomplish our goals, right? What are some things we can put in place to help us get to the next level of us, right? So even if you're like, you know what, I got my goals down, I'm good, but I just need help. I don't have ADHD, but I want to 10 times my productivity. How can I do it? This is for you, okay? In case you're wondering what the program entails, we'll put it on the show notes as well. But essentially, it's a 6-week strategy session. We meet weekly and we strategize. It goes along with a course that you get every week, but I try to make them daily, less than 7 minutes stuff, because I know, listen, people like us, when it's short and sweet to the point with actionable strategies, I can use, okay? So if you want to listen to everything at once, you will. If you want to listen to it a little bit at a time daily, you will as well. So, and then we meet weekly to strategize on the things that we've learned from the week before. And then if you have questions, you send it to me. I answer your questions and give you strategies based on your particular self. So it's a small, intimate session, and not everybody who applies will get in. I try to get like-minded people in, and people who I really, really, really do need it. Like I said, it's small and intimate. So if you're interested, feel free to send me a message. Another thing I have associated with this program is you also have an accountability partner that you work with, okay? There are 3 things that make you achieve your goal: knowing it, writing it down, and having someone that keeps you accountable. And then not only do you have an accountability partner, you have a client concierge who actually keep both of you guys accountable. Have you had an accountability partner and they kind of ghost you and you feel bad? We'll be the bad person asking them, listen, what are you doing? Get back to it. You signed up for this. And I would say, if you're in the program, you have to opt into the accountability session, because I want people who really want it. I encourage everybody to do it, because in you having that accountability partner, it will help you get to your goal very much. Another thing you get with the program is you get a lifetime membership to our non-Facebook group, okay? Facebook can be easily distracting, and for most of us who do not want to be distracted, being on a group on Facebook is not the right thing to do, right? So we have an app that's all you go to. You just go straight into our program. We chat in our program. We communicate about the program all in the chat, and then you can ask your questions anytime. I can't talk. Yeah, I can't talk today. You can ask your questions anytime. So that's really what the program is about. So if you're interested, we'll also put it in the show notes. You can apply to see if you qualify, and sign up to talk to me about it. If you don't qualify, I would still send you information that can help you. So just feel free to apply if you feel like everything I talked about, you resonated with it and it applies to you. So I think that's all I have for today, y'all. I don't know. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think I'm forgetting anything. But that's it. This is actually one of the longest Lolly chats. Usually I like to keep it short, 20, 30 minutes max. So with that being said, thank you very much for following me on this wonderful journey. I am so happy I have been able to be visible to you guys. Thank you for listening to me and accepting the all of me. Like I said, I don't see ADHD as a disorder. I see it as a neurotypical trait of the brain, and a lot of people subscribe to this. This is not something like Lola just made up, even though I've been making up stuff, making up words and stuff. No, but this is like a neurotypical trait that we have. Just like I can't change the fact that I'm a fantastic African-American woman with beautiful brown skin. I can't change that fact. I am who I am. The same way someone with ADHD cannot change the fact that their brain is wired the way they are wired. So my job as a productivity and work-life strategist for people who have problems focusing on what matters is to help them basically focus on the superpowers, help them channel the superpowers of ADHD, and help them put blocks on the kryptonites that prevent them from achieving and accomplishing and getting to their maximum potential. Okay? So thank you guys again. This has been fantastic. I am so happy I did this. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous, but you know what? I did it. And now it's in the world, it's in the cosmos. If you have any questions, please send me a message on Instagram. I love to hear from you guys. I love to hear what resonated, what your aha moments was. It really helps me that I get all these messages. So thank you guys so much. See you guys next week. Hello, Lollitaskers. Thanks for hanging out with me on another inspiring episode of Bossing, Mommy, and Lollitasking. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. What was your favorite part? Or what was your aha moment? I would love to hear all about it. If you also have any questions or topics you'd like for me to discuss, please feel free to contact me via www.lollitasking.com. I have a question for you though. Have you subscribed already? If not, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click that subscribe button, share this episode with a friend, and leave a great review on iTunes. These things allow other moms to see the show and connect with us as well. Till next time, this is Lollitasking.